So issues like theft issues, maybe harassment, or none of those issues have been reported to
so
you?
all of those things happen, right?
Yeah.
And so not to say that they happen all the time, but we experience all of those different types of crime like you'd experience in any other community.
So as I'm a student now, I'm living off campus. There has been some sort of incident. Should I report to the City of Vermilion Police, or I should come to UPD?
You should report to the City of Vermilion Police Department. Absolutely.
So you have on-campus job too here in UPD?
We do.
What is the typical response time?
Yeah, so any type of call like that, it's absolutely under 2 minutes.
Can an international student possess any sort of weapon like a gun?
Most of those things are all going to be prohibited.
Would you say that we have some sort of racism stuff here?
I would say it's probably everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But it's not an issue that we frequently deal with.
Like,
share, and subscribe. I think I'll be fired.
Thank you so much.
No, it's true. It's true.
What's up, my UT family? Many thanks for coming back. So in this video we are recording with UPD. You may be asking, what is UPD? I'm talking about the University Police Department. Why are we recording this video with them? That is a big question. Well, in many of our pre-departure orientation videos or the meetings that we've had on Zoom with the prospective students, most of them ask me the question, hey man, what is the safety issues like when it comes to the university? I know we've heard from your bosses and most of them from America, but listen, we know that you happen to be the international student over there. You could probably tell us what is actually going on. But hey, we were thinking about it and we're like, why don't we rather just come and speak to the people who are in charge of safety here at the University of South Dakota? So that is what we are doing today. We had to just talk to the boss here just to see if he can just have this chit chat with us. So today, that is what we're doing. I'm just going to head to him for him to just introduce himself, and then we can just kick into this conversation. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, pleasure to be here.
So, do we do a salute or something?
We could. So Brian Jackson,
Yeah.
I'm the Chief of Police here at the University of South Dakota, and just really happy to be here. I think this is such an important conversation, and really excited to kind of help share some of this information, especially with prospective international students. I mean, we want to ensure that we're getting the right information to them, answering the questions that they have, and just really showing what USD is all about.
You know, sometimes when we're having these pre-departure orientation videos and they ask that, hey, McRay, is this place safe to be? And I tell them that this place is one of the safest places I've ever been compared to some of the cities that I've been to, even back home. I'm like, this place is the safest. It looks like a bit safe place. They don't tend to believe me because we know what happened back home. And then sometimes you on the TV, like on the news channels, they hear a lot of shootings, a lot of, security issues and stuff like that. So we thought it was like, hey man, why don't we just come to you guys, since you guys are the people in charge of whatever that is happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the United States is huge, right? And so what we see, in mainstream media doesn't necessarily reflect, life here in Vermilion and how safe USD is. So that's a great point.
Yeah. So I want to talk about you first. How long have you been doing this job?
Yeah, so I've been at USD a little over 9 years, and so I've been Chief of Police for 3.5, coming up on 4 years this spring. And so just love it. I think that, really felt that public safety or public service, is a calling, and really feel, proud to be able to give back in that manner. But working at, a university is such a unique experience. I think that it's just really empowering to be around students and faculty who are continually trying to do better and inventing great things and all that knowledge. It's just really hard to work in an environment like that and not want to do better yourself. And so I'm just really lucky, privileged to be here and work with our great student population.
So So let's just dive into the conversation. I want to begin with this one. What are the most better ways for a student to report incidents or issues here on campus?
Yeah, so I think one of the best ways is really reach out to the University Police Department directly. So we're the only department on campus that's here 24/7, 365. Yep. So we're here all day, all night. Rain, snow, heat, summer, winter.
Wow. So even if we come like 4 a.m., there's somebody on duty.
There's always somebody here. And so I think that's great for the peace of mind knowing that someone's always there if you need them. But we have, our university email or telephone. We also have a silent witness or silent submission form where if you wanted to share some information but maybe didn't want to disclose who you were for whatever reason, if you were concerned about somebody, you could share that information without identifying yourself too, knowing that we'll look into that and try and get them the help that they need. So there's just a lot of different ways. It's really about whatever feels best for you and makes you the most comfortable.
Yeah, let's say at 4 a.m. or 3 a.m., would you expect from a student to, maybe they have an issue or incident they want to report, would you expect them to walk here knowing that they have somebody on duty, somebody's on shift, or there's a call number or something that they can basically dial, or how do we go about that?
Yeah, so they absolutely can come to our building. We added some new signage out front to really make it really obvious. But also then too, if you're in the library or in the student union or maybe in your dorms, we can come meet you where you are.
Okay.
So we're not necessarily expecting a student to walk across campus in the middle of the night. We can come to you.
Okay.
And so sometimes someone might rather come here, or they'd rather us come to them. Kind of all of the above. Whatever works for that person, we make that happen.
So how do we call? What's the number for a student to reach out to UPD, like an urgent or emergency contact?
So emergencies in the United States is always dial 911.
911, yeah.
But if you just need to talk to the University Police Department, that number is 605-658-6199. Otherwise, universitypolice@usd.edu, or our website's just usd.edu/universitypolice.
Yeah. That's good. So now the one I have on my list today, I want to talk about the most common safety concerns. So the question basically is that what are the most common safety concerns or incidents that have been reported to UPD, and how have basically you guys dealt with those situations?
Yeah, I think probably the most common, incident or even criminal violation really stems from underage alcohol consumption. And so whether that's, someone drinking underage, or then unfortunately, drinking in excess, and then now there's a medical emergency or that medical aspect. Wow. And so, that's gonna, something that occurs nationwide, with our young age demographic and across, college campuses. But so the Board of Regents and USD, we all have a policy for amnesty for those seeking help in those types of situations. And so I know that's come up, from some of our resident advisors in housing have asked, especially from an international student perspective, maybe something they're not as familiar with. But what happens is, if my friend McRay needed medical attention for whatever reason, even if he was underage drinking alcohol, the University Police Department and our ambulance will respond and ensure they get the help that they need. But we're not writing criminal citations. Nobody's getting a ticket in that environment. As long as everyone kind of stays and helps ensure that that person gets the help that they need. And so I think that's pretty unique aspect in some regards, that what we want to ensure is that people call when someone needs help, and not worry about would someone get a ticket, or how does that play into that. The truth is, we just want to help the person that needs help. The fact that they were drinking underage might be problematic, but that's not what we're there to address in the moment. We want to address those medical concerns first and foremost.
Okay, so you issues like theft issues, maybe harassment, or none of those issues have been reported to you?
All of those things happen, right? And so not to say that they happen all the time, but we experience all of those different types of crime like you'd experience in any other community. And so things like theft typically result from someone leaving their property unsecured and unattended. So if you have a bicycle, right, lock your bicycle in the bike rack so nobody can take it. if you don't leave your laptop out, you know, in the library when you go to the bathroom. And so those things don't happen frequently, but they do happen. And so we just want to ensure that we're taking the right steps to prevent some of those things. You know, issues like harassment unfortunately happen. And so, you know, we have a great response mechanism. We work collectively with our campus partners. So whether that's the University Police Department and student conduct, you know, our housing office, we all work together collectively to ensure, you know, that any victims or survivors are supported. And so, you know, sometimes some of those things, they feel wrong, but they might not necessarily be a crime that we can enforce from our state statute perspective, but they might be a violation of the student code of conduct that we can address, or a housing community living policy. So we kind of all work collectively as one big community to help address some of those issues, to really ensure that our students feel heard, that we're addressing their concerns, and then providing, you know, a path moving forward as well.
You know, there's sometimes that I would maybe same as other students receive some emails about some harassment. There is one particular line, sentence in that email that always I remember. They said, "Is it the perpetrator is not at fault," or something like that?
Yeah, so like, it's that a victim is never at fault, right? So it's the victim doesn't decide to be a victim. The perpetrator decides to commit that illegal act, right? So if someone's assaulted or has their property stolen, it's that suspect, the perpetrator of the crime, that did that action. You know, it's not the victim's fault ever. And so one of those things that we, you know, just really try and encourage and empower, you know, any victim or survivor is to, you know, come forward, and whether they want to, you know, pursue a criminal investigation, or if they just want resources for support, you know, as they, you know, persist through their graduation and things like that. We just really want to ensure that they're connected to, we have so many resources at USD. And sometimes it's hard to keep track of what they all are. We have so many. And so just ensuring that we help them get connected into whatever path looks best for them moving forward.
So I want to ask about your relationship with the, I think Vermilion, we have the police department too, right? Like, what is your relationship with them? Have you ever probably, sometimes you receive a certain maybe issues or something reported to you, and you go like, hey, these issues, they are kind of above us. We can only refer you to, you know, just like maybe sometimes in hospital, that this is your issue, we cannot handle it, we have to refer you to the regional hospital. Have you received anything like that before?
So the University Police Department's actually sworn in through the city of Vermilion. So we have that same statutory authority, you know, throughout Vermilion, but primarily the University Police Department, you know, conducts our services on the institutional property, so the main campus. So then when we look at, we have a lot of students obviously that live off campus as well. And so that primary response will be from the City of Vermilion Police Department. And so for lots of great reasons, we work hand in hand every day. And so we have, I mean, it's almost like we're one department, but we're not. So we're constantly sharing information. We train together all the time. We work together. If there's an issue that's impacting the campus or our students, we know that that's going to spill over into the city of Vermilion, because we're so close, the campus and the community. And so that relationship is really modeled between the University Police Department and the Vermilion Police Department as well. So sometimes, yes, if you were to come to our department, but we find out that you live off campus, we would refer you to the City of Vermilion Police Department, but we conduct that handoff in a way. If you're already here, they might come do the interview in our office. You don't have to go down there. So it's really, I mean, it's almost like we're one, but not quite. But we all have that same common mission of trying to keep Vermilion safe and our campus community safe. So whether you live here, go to school here, whatever that looks like, you know, that it's a safe community for you to be in.
But okay, so I want us to get the clarity, right? So if I'm a student, or as I'm a student now, I'm living off campus, and there has been some sort of incident, who do you think I should report to in terms of priority? Should I report to the City of Vermilion Police first, or because I consider myself as a student, so I should come to UPD?
So if you live off campus and the issue happens kind of at your residence, at your apartment or your house or whatever that might be, you should report to the City of Vermilion Police Department. But sometimes that's complicated and confusing. So wherever you report to, collectively, we ensure that you get to the right place. or that your report gets to the right place. And we know that sometimes things, there might be an issue that happens, off campus at your apartment or house, but some of that's impacting you on campus. We can help navigate that as well.
Yeah.
But if you live off campus, you should report to the Vermilion Police Department if the issue is about off campus or about your residents.
Yeah.
But we're always here to help navigate that. Sometimes it's just more familiar to come to the Davidson building here.
I know, right?
And so we help make that happen.
Yeah. Okay, so since we're talking about safety, allow me to just ask you how often you guys patrol, because there are sometimes that when somebody is currently under a certain sort of attack or any form of attack, right, they don't even have the chance to press the phone buttons to even call you. They're just probably in the midst of the situation hoping that UPD, the pickup or the truck, whatever it is, will just pass by and just rescue me. So that's the question. How often do you guys patrol in town and stuff like that?
Yeah, so we have officers that are on patrol, 24/7. So
really?
their goal from me is they should never be in the office unless they have to. So we want them out and about and visible and seen by our campus community truly 24/7. And so to supplement that, we also have student workers as well. And so they assist with building lockup, locking the campus buildings and things like that as night.
Oh, wow.
So they also help kind of extra set of eyes as they patrol the campus.
So you employ students to work with you too?
Absolutely.
So you have on-campus job too here in UPD?
We do.
Like what kind of job?
Yeah, so we hire about 20-25 student workers a year.
Every year, not every semester?
Well, we have about 20-25 positions. So we fill those same positions fall and spring. So typically a student might stay the whole year. But so we 20-25 positions at a time. A lot of them do student parking enforcement, so they help enforce the parking rules and regulations. That's a really unique job in the sense that we don't necessarily have strict hours.
Yeah.
So if you had a class at 8 to 9 and then 1 to 2, you can work in between those hours, or you could do 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon kind of concept. So that really helps a lot of students with their schedules. They might not be able to work a traditional job.
Yeah.
So that break in hours really helps.
Yeah.
And then we hire student security officers for the evening or into the overnight hours.
Wow.
They help lock the buildings, patrol campus, and also do some parking enforcement. But I think our student workforce is just huge. And I know you talked about that.
Yeah.
I've watched some other videos too.
So I want to ask, do you have any opening?
What? So not at the moment. But we might hear in a couple weeks when we see who's coming back for the spring semester.
Okay, yeah.
But we always post our openings on Coyote Connections.
Yeah.
And, I really encourage anyone to check it out. We just really appreciate having people help do some of those things for us. It's a huge force multiplier.
Yeah.
We couldn't do all those things by ourselves. But to answer your question, we have our officers are expected to be out of the office on patrol as much as possible. And then we supplement that with some of our student workers as well for just those things like you said. As a small campus as we are, it's hard to be everywhere. But we'd sure definitely, try to be.
Yeah. So what would be the typical response time if I decide to just pick up my phone, like, hey, UPD, a student is on the talk. I've seen something happening right around Coyote Village, North Complex, Burgess, or maybe somewhere on campus. What is the typical response time?
Yeah, so any type of call like that, it's absolutely under 2 minutes.
Under 2 minutes?
We're probably talking like a minute and a half probably,
Yeah,
but that's one of the benefits of having a university police department is that we're not responding from far edges of the city and things like that. That we have a dedicated public safety team to our campus environment that's right here on campus. So because of that, they are able to get there, definitely under 2 minutes and things like that.
Yeah.
So one of the things we really pride ourselves in, if someone calls and they need help right now, that our team gets there as quickly and safely as possible.
Yeah, well, but apart from they trying to call you, do we have any sort of safety apps that the student can probably download? Maybe just press a button and it comes directly, not me trying to scroll through my contact list and go like, where did I save UPD? Wait, no.
Absolutely, that's a great question. So we do. We have what's called the Everbridge app, and it has some Everbridge, yep.
Okay.
It's got some safety connection features. So one of those is, there's some emergency call buttons. You can call 911. You can call the University Police Department. We have Coyote Care on there as well. So our 24/7 mental health line you can call. Resources, to our eye care. promoting, sexual assault prevention and resources, some of those things. There's a safe corridor function, which is kind of like a virtual walk home. You can activate the safe corridor, and it creates a timer. So if you were to walk from the wellness center, you get a late night workout in, and you're walking back to the dorms. You just punch in your PIN at every interval, and ensures that you're still safe. And in the event that you miss your PIN, or you trip and fall even, and you can't get to your phone, it sends an alert then to our office, and it turns on the camera so we can see kind of what's happening. And then there's also an SOS function, that one button to push that does all of that too. Sends your contact info, your GPS location, all of that to the University Police Department. That way we can send someone out immediately to come ensure. Hopefully it was an accident. But in the event that it wasn't, they're able to get to you as quickly as possible.
So just the way you've spoken about it, I know that sometimes when students come for orientation, particularly the international student, we've had personnel from UPD coming to, basically talk about what UPD is all about, to even talk about some of these apps. But apart from that, UPD, do you probably sometimes, within the semester, would you organize some sort of self-defense classes and stuff like that? So
absolutely. So we self-defense classes, or stop the bleed, situational awareness, personal safety, all of those types of things, we absolutely do. Self-defense has been really popular, and so we've actually kind of revamped that program as well. So we definitely do 1 or 2 hour versions of that, and our team has put together a really great 6-hour version where they do 2 hours, 2 hours, and 2 hours over 3 different days.
Really?
So there's some great, physical aspects, educational pieces as well, and we've had some great turnouts from those. And so especially if there's any student group, whether it's a student organization or a department, whatever that is, we host them at the Wellness Center, but we can also do by request. So if the international office wanted to coordinate one, or if there's a specific student group, if they had enough people where it made sense and they wanted to just host their own, we do that too. Really, back to that meeting students where they are, kind of that reoccurring theme of if there's a need or a want for some type of programming, we'll absolutely make that happen.
Well, so it means that, for example, let's say the African Student Association, the International Club, they have some sort of interest, like, hey guys, can we learn something apart from the usual things we do? Let's learn something about self-defense. All we need to do is to reach out to UPD, basically, and then we can schedule something up. Wow, and usually you will do that in the Wellness Center.
So we could really do it anywhere. We've done the Wellness Center. Marcus Destin and I were just talking about doing it in 219, the Student Center space. But we've done it in the Dakota Dome, on the football field, all kinds of. Really just depends how many students are going to come, so we ensure we have enough room. We've done it in the basement, of like BD Mick or Richie O, things like that.
How many number of students would you expect, like a minimum, for you to say yes to that request?
So, 5, but if we had less, we would just work with some other groups to get more people. So we would never say no if somebody wanted some training.
Wow. So does it depend what time you guys will do that? Just any time that is available?
So, whatever works. So if that, if those students or that student group wants to do it at 8 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock in the morning, we'll be there.
So guys, if you have any question with what we are basically talking about, this is actually about security, safety issues that most of you've asked these questions about. So we're basically here trying to bring all the answers that you need. But hey, if you have any question, why don't you go ahead and put that up in the comment section, and then we'll come and help you to answer that. And if this is your first time of watching or jumping on this video, please hit the subscribe button. See, hit it. If I have the chief of police who is watching these videos and you are not watching, that means you're missing this thing big time. Okay, so now we get into the arena of the international students, right? Do you probably, maybe sometimes we'll collaborate with some sort of department to help the international student know about law enforcement or local laws, because somebody may just come here, something maybe cultural wise. Sometimes you expect that certain things I do at home is allowed, and then you bring the same thing here thinking that it is still allowed. I remember there's something we used to say back home, that if you're ignorant of a law, it doesn't mean that you'll not be judged or whatever it is. Do you guys do that?
Yeah, so that's a great expression. We say the same thing here. But absolutely, a lot of that work is done through some of the first year experience classes, and then with freshman dorms and things like that. Some of our first year students in housing. But I think that our role is not only law enforcement, right? I think that we have the need to be educators as well in our own right, and especially for those that might be their first time in the United States or maybe have not stayed here this long. I think it's huge and critical that we help empower them to know the law and things like that, of how to be good citizens, for lack of a better, while they're here. And I think that sometimes, absolutely, it's a huge transition. I would assume, right, as an international student, and there's so much you have to learn and know,
so much,
and figure all of this out, that it has to be hard, right? And we don't expect citizens or people that have lived here their whole life to know all of these things, let alone someone that maybe in their first weeks or first months here. And so I think it's so important that we view some of that educational piece as our job as well. And so you'll see things that not every interaction with law enforcement ends in a ticket or things like that. Sometimes it's that educational piece that we only know what we know. And sometimes there's absolutely the opportunity to provide that education versus enforcement.
So I remember back home, I'm trying to relate everything to the international group, right? So there are places that sometimes people will tell you that, hey, when you get into this country, when you get into this city, don't stay there because of so much of, reported incidents. So now let's bring it down to Vermilion. An international student is watching this video right now. I'm thinking, where should I stay? Is there any place that is like a red alert kind of community, or a place that you say that, hey, when you come, don't stay there, this is more safe? Would you say something like that when it comes to Vermilion?
No, honestly, I think by and large Vermilion is very safe. And so wherever you might find, whether it's apartment or a rental house, whatever that looks like, I think just that teamwork we talked about between the University Police Department, the Vermilion Police Department, and the community, right? The community members reporting crime or things that are happening, taking care of their property in the community. It's just such a great place to live and be, that everyone works together for that collectively. That I would not say that, there's any place to stay away from. And I know that's not the case everywhere. And so I think we're really fortunate here in Vermilion that that's the answer.
Okay, so what advice would you also give to students who are not traveling to Vermilion? Most of us, even as like me, students, there are some times that I have assignments that I need to do with my group. There's sometimes that it requires us to stay on campus till late. I think the mock closes sometimes at 12. I don't know, but we have to stay on campus just to make sure that we finish, because the deadline is just tomorrow by 8 a.m. So even though I know that Vermilion is safe, what would you say about a situation like that?
Yeah, so looking at places like the MUC, the Student Union, the ID Weeks Library, those are great places to meet and study. If anyone lives in the student dorms, they have their lounge spaces and things like that as well. But looking at all of those, I think coming back to, say I live off campus and I know, I was on campus until midnight or maybe 1 a.m. and how do I get back, to my apartment? One, the University Police Department provides safety escorts. So if there were, if there was a reason that you felt unsafe, you can always call the University Police Department, and we can either, walk with that individual or give them a ride back to their, house or apartment.
Wow.
We just whatever it takes to ensure they feel safe, right? And so the Everbridge Safety app is another great option. I'd always encourage people, to walk in groups when they're out and about. There's always safety in numbers, even if you just slip and fall. Right? It's better to have someone there to catch you or to walk with you. And so there's just a lot of different resources depending on what that individual might feel most comfortable with, and really just here to help make those things happen. But we've done a great job, I think, of if you've noticed, we've changed a lot of the light bulbs on the exterior lights on campus, just to make campus even more bright at night, so that way students can feel safe, walking across or through campus at night as well.
Well, people will say that students would always be students. Students will seem to abuse everything, right? And so there's sometimes that people do like prank calls and things like that. Have you ever even received that before?
So yes, but typically To be honest, a lot of calls that we get that might be like prank calls.
Yeah.
Therefore, SD or like USD as in University of San Diego.
Okay.
So we'll see people trying to call the University of San Diego will call the University of South Dakota Police Department, and they'll start talking about things that are in San Diego.
Oh.
And sometimes there's a little back and forth of, we're in South Dakota, not San Diego. So that's funny, but I mean, it happens. Typically, it probably more happens to 911 phone calls.
Yeah.
And those get all routed to our county dispatch center.
Yeah.
But it absolutely happens from time to time.
Yeah. So let's say you know that there is one particular student out there, every time he's calling that, hey, I don't feel safe going home and my phone is broken. I can't even connect to the internet to stay on the app. I need an escort. Like, have you guys gotten to that top place? You go like, bro, this guy, we got to put a red flag somewhere.
So I don't think that we have. Nothing comes to mind.
Okay.
But if there ever were a situation like that, something we would work with the dean of students office and kind of really help figure out like what help they need, right? And so sometimes we know what presents as the problem is not really the cause of the problem.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's financial insecurity, right? And we talk about things like the student emergency aid grant. Some of those things might really be more helpful. But we would work together with our campus partners to make those things, see what we could do.
So in a way of just trying to wrap up the conversation, I want us to get to the emotional aspect, right? So UPD, in cases where a student will need emotional support, or maybe they are having some sort of stressful incidents, what do you guys do? Like, I need that emotional support. I need somebody to talk to. Do you guys actually do that?
Yeah, so absolutely. Like we talked about, we're here 24/7, 365. So there's always an officer available. And countless times, can I count, even when I used to, be on patrol throughout the campus, that we're here for students, whatever that looks like. And sometimes, absolutely, that's the campus, college life can be stressful. And sometimes we just need someone to talk to, and we have a lot of great resources. But sometimes we want that face-to-face interaction. And so we're absolutely here for that. And to help, even show that and kind of add a little bit to that, we've recently started a therapy, dog program here at the University Police Department.
I think you guys have a new dog or something.
We do, yeah. So his name is Canine Griffin.
Yeah, Griffin.
And he is a corgi.
Yeah.
So can't be mistaken for any other type of law enforcement dog. Just little itty bitty, cute. The bestest boy, I'm told. But absolutely. So something that we're, really kind of getting that rolling. Obviously, it takes some time, and there's some different certifications and things that he's working on. But so any of our, victims or guest presentations and things like that, you'll see Griffin out more and more. But absolutely, sometimes if you just need that face, whatever that looks like, we're here for that as well.
So that dog particularly is also for that, because somebody may be asking that, how come a police department, you're not shooting for a German Shepherd, like something that can come around sniffing stuff? Hey, there's something there, guys. Like, why did you go for Griffin like that?
Yeah, so to be honest, we you look at a risk assessment or a needs assessment, and like, what does our campus community need? Okay. And so unfortunately, there's a lot of research coming out about incoming students have increased levels of anxiety and stress when they enter college and things like that. And so, one of the ways that we, kind of came up with of how to be a better partner in some of those regards was having a therapy dog. And there's just some great research, from the college perspective, but then victims of crime as well. And so just something we could do to kind of help bridge that gap a little bit. It's a great, community engagement piece as well. Sometimes we know not everyone has had great experiences with law enforcement or great perceptions. So sometimes it's just a conversation starter too, where then we can kind of work on those personal relationships and develop that, humanize the badge a little bit.
Okay, so now, can an international student who has traveled to the US, travel to South Dakota, travel to Vermilion? I'm trying to transition because I know that there's some state laws everywhere. Can an international student possess any sort of weapon, as in self-defense, number one, like a gun, to do that?
Yeah, so we have a policy for campus, and so most of those things are all going to be prohibited. So pepper spray is a really common one, that's acceptable. But otherwise, the policy prohibits other dangerous weapons on our campus community. And so one of those things is that the University Police Department's here and able to respond quickly. And so one of the things I would caution when we talk about firearms and things like that, if you reside off campus, more than likely we would need to talk about some very specific scenarios. But probably something that's possible and legal. But then when we talk about traveling across state lines, if you went to Iowa and Nebraska, there's some semantics and legal aspects that come into play in some of those things. So sometimes it gets really tricky really quick. But pepper spray is kind of the one that we tend to advocate.
How much can a pepper spray cost right now? How much can that be?
I mean, honestly, probably like $10.
$10, so a student can walk to Walmart or Hy-Vee or something to get that?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that is the only one that UPD does not frown on, basically, for now.
Yeah, so I mean, if we look at things, firearms are prohibited on campus. Large fixed blade knives and things like that are also prohibited. So just looking to, create as safe an environment as possible and recognizing that sometimes those little things help individuals feel safe. Another thing that kind of comes up from time to time is like the keychains, like brass knuckle type keychains. And in a lot of places throughout the country, those are illegal. And so it would be, difficult if you had something like that on your keychain and then went someplace where that's illegal and ran into issues. So really trying to provide something that's, as uniformly acceptable across the board as possible.
That's great. So I want to get your last word. So you can just look into the camera and do this for us. So an international student who is looking forward to come to USD, or maybe any prospective student who wants to travel to US to basically study, as we've spoken earlier, Newsline, gun issues, security issues, people not feeling safe, racism and all that. What message would you practically have for such a student?
Yeah, I think to you, from me speaking as the chief of police at the University of South Dakota, to you, a prospective student here at USD, is we want you to come. We want you to come to USD, to come to Vermilion, to come to South Dakota, feel safe and accepted, and be able to really prosper, especially on your educational journey. We just have so many great programs here. We work collaboratively, across with campus partners and things like that, there's so much to do and so much to be thankful for here in Vermilion. I think you'll really find a home away from home, for lack of a better, here in Vermilion. And if you have any questions about safety, any questions about public safety or the University Police Department, definitely reach out. I'd be more than happy to speak with anyone, in a group or individually, answer those questions and help reassure you that USD is the place for you to be.
Thank you. We want to basically say thank you, the prospective students who are watching, the subscribers, and the current students who are going to hear this message, including me and the producer. We want to say thank you so much. In our language, I will say akbar. Can you say that?
Akbar.
It means thank you. So here, look at your office, beautiful office, and then you have. What are all this for? Have you worked at all these places?
I have not. So what people do sometimes is they collect like the highway patrol patches from all 50 states.
Oh, okay.
And so what I had started to do was try and collect the University Police Department patches from all 50 states. And so you see there's a lot. There's more that didn't fit. But it got pretty hard trying to get all 50 states, and some of them are tricky, like Hawaii. So you see, just people we have relationships with, and so I think just goes to show, not only at our campus, but just nationally as well, that we collectively work together to protect our campus community and the educational environment.
Wow!
And so just really, just a little unique, something.
That's University of Missouri is there. You have police, University of Minnesota, and then you can see Colorado State University, Black Hill State. Is that in South Dakota?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, this is beautiful. So you basically have relationship with all these people.
Yeah, so we work collectively. We have an international association as well. So there's a group called the International Association of Campus Law Enforcement Administrators, and so all of these issues we might have on our campus, we know they're on campuses worldwide. Yeah, and so we just collectively work to share best practices and information, and how do we better support our campus communities to ensure that they're safe and secure.
Okay. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. I believe that all the things that I've shared with Jackson today, it's something that it's educative to you. So most of you, I'm sure that your questions, they've all been answered. You've asked questions about security issues, emotional issues, racism that you guys, some of you have been big upon. I'm sure that, do we actually have that here? Would you say that we have some sort of racism stuff here?
So I would say it's probably everywhere, right? But it's not an issue that we frequently deal with. Yeah. And I would say, if we had a student or staff or faculty member experiencing things like that, absolutely tell us about it. So tell us or the dean of students, our equal opportunity office. Those are things that we want to address. But it's not an issue that rises to my level or that I've heard about. But not to say that it doesn't happen, because I also know that not everything gets reported.
Yeah. So basically, all we're trying to say is that Vermilion, the University of South Dakota, is a safe place to actually be. So whatever question that you have, once again, please try as much as possible to put it up in the comment section, and then we will help you answer. Thank you guys so much. I believe that the next video that's going to come to will be of more educative stuff and informative stuff. Above all, it's also going to be fun. So thank you so much. Once again, my name is McRay. Sogah, we will see you in the next video. I wanted you to teach me how to salute, actually. How do you do it?
Well, so all your four fingers, right, extended and joined.
My four?
Yeah, plus your thumb.
My thumb, okay.
And then just right to the corner of your eyebrow.
The corner of my eyebrow?
Yep, but if we're doing to the camera, we want like some Tim Allen. This is old school.
Okay, so
we want to give it a little to the camera. And you could add that in, with the like, share, subscribe.
Like, share, and subscribe. Let's do it together. Let's do it together.
Like, share, and subscribe. I think that'll be fire.
Thank you so much. Guys, we'll see you in the next video. Good luck to everybody. Bye-bye. Woo! That was fun. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, no problem. It was good. I really appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
All right, so in law enforcement and the military, we started a tradition a long time ago called challenge coins.
Challenge coins.
And so, to skip the history a little bit, this is just my chief challenge coin. And so it just kind of reflects, USD, and I share these, as tokens of appreciation and thanks. So I really just appreciate, that the both of you are sharing that campus safety message, that we're great partners, for USD. And just really appreciate the both of you and what you guys are doing with the YouTube.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. I appreciate you both.
Thank you. University of South Dakota Police Department, Chief Brian Jackson. Go Yacht. We got that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Wow. Oh, so cute.
Yeah, you got Old Man on the back.
Old Man is here, guys. Old Man. That was cute. Thank you, guys.
So much.
Wow. Thank you so much.